Hi, everybody. A week ago, I didn't think there was any way possible that I could put together a devotion for this week. We were planning to take a road trip out west, just meander around, kind of be in the backwoods area, so I had no idea where I was going to be, but I didn't think I'd be next to internet. But our plans changed. We had to get home more quickly, or back to Phoenix more quickly than we planned, and John drove us. We left after church and after lunch on Sunday afternoon, and John drove us 1,500 miles and got us in late Monday night. That's fast. And we were in a 25-foot motorhome, so we had to stop for gas just every little bit. But he still made it. We still got here in time, and I've got time to put the devotion together.
Merry Christmas! Happy New Year!
Well, that was fast. We did stop at a truck stop for a few hours to take a nap on the way back. And that thing has to fill up for gas every hour or so that took us some time too. Hey, today I want to do something that I've not done before exactly like this. I want to talk about a complex subject that's going to take quite a while to talk about, more than I want to do in this amount of time for a short devotion. So I'm going to break it into 3 weeks. So if you miss 1 week, you might want to catch up on it. But I'm going to talk about proofs for the existence of God. So join with me as we begin to look, especially proofs by Thomas Aquinas. So join with me and follow me the next 3 weeks as we tackle this issue together. Let's start with motion. An object at rest tends to stay at rest unless acted upon by an outside force. The ball doesn't throw itself in the air. I throw the ball in the air. I can lay the ball on the ground and not touch it at all, take my hands off, and it falls because of gravity. Something is acting upon it. But nothing really acts upon itself to begin with. Something sets everything in motion. And that can't go back all the way to infinity, because if we went all the way back to infinity, something would be in motion that was never set in motion. That something would be God. The universe didn't move itself. Even if the chemicals came together for a big bang, something brought that, something started that, and Thomas Aquinas would say that's God. He is the first mover, and that's the first argument. I want to introduce you to Nala. She is Jonathan's new Rhodesian Ridgeback puppy. She is bigger than any of Sue's Pomeranians. She is heavier than any of Sue's Pomeranians. She has more energy and she's only 11 weeks old. She's a lot of fun. Hey, Christina, come and get Nala for us. There you go. Put the puppy back. Okay, let's go to Thomas Aquinas' second proof for the existence of God, or argument for the existence of God, and that is causation. Nala did not create herself. She had a mommy dog, she had a daddy dog, and they got together, and we have Nala, the new puppy. I mean, it would seem silly for us to think that she created herself. Nothing in the material universe, including you and including me, including this pillow, is the cause of itself. Nothing, just think about it, nothing pre-existed itself. If I was the cause of me, it would mean that I pre-existed me. So, like Nala, I had a mother, I had a father. I don't think this little Santa Claus had a mother and a father, but it had a factory someplace that put it together, and an idea behind that. Everything. It's hard to even imagine something that caused itself into being. But if you go back and back and back and back to everything there is, sooner or later, you're going to have to come up with an uncaused cause. Thomas Aquinas says that's God. Only God can explain something that causes itself and brings everything else into being. We can speculate, we can imagine, but that's the second proof for the existence of God. Kind of a fun old camper here that we get to play with. Let's talk about the third proof for the existence of God, and that is the necessity for God. All the beings that we know are contingent. That is, we don't have to exist. We are not necessary. We may be helpful, we may be useful, but we are not necessary for the universe to exist. We are contingent beings. Now, all contingent beings, there was a time when they did not exist. There was a time when they were brought into existence. There was a time when I did not exist. There was a time when this motorhome did not exist. There was a time when this planet did not exist. There was a time when this universe did not exist. If for all the beings and all the matter we have, it was all contingent upon something else happening for it to be there, and it wasn't necessary for the universe. But if everything in the universe, every little thing, was contingent, that is, if there was a time when it did not exist, then nothing would exist today. Nothing would have started. Nothing would have been here. There has to be something, someplace back there, that is necessary to have happen for all these other contingent things to happen. And Thomas Aquinas says that thing that is necessary is what we call God. It's necessary that something exists that wasn't contingent, that didn't come when nothing existed, or else nothing would exist. So that's the third argument. Now, as we're making these arguments, Thomas Aquinas was Christian, but as we're making these arguments, I want to highlight that he is not talking Christian catechism here. He's not describing a certain series of dogmas or beliefs. He's talking about the necessity of the existence of God. And he's being very loose as to describing what that God is. But he's saying that in order for all of those things that aren't necessary to be here, something back there had to be necessary. This is definitely not me. Let's talk about Thomas Aquinas' fourth argument for the existence of God. It's a matter of degrees. If we say one thing is hot and another is cold, someplace out there we have to have a measuring tool, a thermometer or something, that tells us one thing is hotter and the other thing is colder. But even then, it doesn't tell us too much. I mean, it tells one thing's warmer or one thing's cooler, but it doesn't tell us if something's hot or if something is cold in a way that we can relate and talk with other people about, unless we have something out there we hold as examples of cold and examples of hot. Well, that makes sense. But what about when those things we're talking about are real to us? Real, but not measurable in the same way. Like goodness. What is the good? I mean, we can say that something is pleasurable and something else is less pleasurable. We might be able to put together some sort of tool and say something is beneficial and something is less beneficial for us or for a certain group of people. We might be able to come up with something like that, but can we come up with some sort of a tool that actually labels something as good and something else as bad? Or can we say that something is good and something is evil? Now, in our society, a lot of times we can't. We can say something's more pleasurable, something brings more happiness to a greater amount of people, or more pain to another group of people. We can say something's beneficial or not beneficial, all the things that I said, but we kind of balk at calling anything evil or anything good. We think that's just something, beauty is in the eye of the beholder and good is in the eye of the beholder. But Thomas Aquinas said that's not true. He said there is something that is good. Well, I guess Plato and the early Greeks would agree with him that there is good out there, and that perhaps that good is at the top of the important list. Now, if we're going to say that one thing is better than another, or one thing is good and one thing's not, there has to be an ultimate good of which we measure good against. Otherwise, there's no good at all. It's just more pleasurable, less pleasurable. Well, Thomas Aquinas says that ultimate good and degree is God. Well, let's go to the fifth and the last of Thomas Aquinas' 5 arguments for the 5 proofs for the existence of God. You probably know this one. It's still pretty popular today in discussions, and that is intelligent design. Thomas Aquinas said that, I don't think he used the illustration of a watch. I think he used the illustration of shooting an arrow and where it goes. But we look today and we look at this watch and we say, it doesn't matter how long you dump these parts on the table, this watch is not going to assemble itself and not going to assemble by accident. That there is within this watch some sort of signature of intelligence in the creation of the watch. Anybody that looks at it says somebody has created that watch. Aquinas says that this bougainvillea is similar, that even in nature itself, that something has guided the hand of nature in such a way that there is an intelligence that shows that there's a creator. And Aquinas says that that intelligence is God. Now, this is interesting. Today it's still debated, and you can debate what you want with it. But just this last month, this is January 2022, or this is December, I guess, 2022. We've got a couple days. And earlier this month in January, I read a scientific article written by a scientist talking about the creation of the world. And he mathematically kind of laid out the odds, not of life existing, but of everything kind of existing the way it did. And he came out with such astronomical odds that he said it's just not possible. But he said that we may not want to hang on to the idea of a God, because he himself, I don't believe, was a necessarily religious type person. So he said he hangs on to the idea that there is some sort of an intelligence within the universe itself that causes things to happen. I don't know. Thomas Aquinas may not have a problem with that. He probably just called that intelligence. He said, "Well, you call intelligence, I call God." But it's the intelligent design theory that things do not just happen by themselves. That's a little different than the other theories, and even though a lot of people try to poke holes in it, and it's possible, it still has a lot going for it. Now, there are several others. Anselm had some. There are different, more modern arguments. I've just put out 5 proofs from Aquinas. I'm going to visit them again next week, so this would be a good week to look them up, to think about them, to think, are there proofs for the existence of God? I'm going to talk about some of their strengths, some of their weaknesses, but I don't have time to do that today. And it's going to be a 3-week discussion on the existence of God. Hope you have a great week. This is a New Year's. You can tell I put a New Year's song in the background music for the video clip today. Well, God bless you and watch over you and keep you this week.